Hello, it's so good to see you again. I am Barbara and together with Daniel I restore the historic sailing ship Flying Coney. In this video we do have some exciting news for you. Over the last 2 years we tried our best to research Flying Coney's history. We tried our best to make sense out of the many clues we found aboard. What's warship, what's from the fishing times, what's left from the sailing ship, and why the heck was she converted into a motorsailer in the end? Well, turns out pretty much everything was wrong, so I'm sorry, but we really did our best. We recently met the long-term owners of this ship, the folks that converted her into a sailing ship and lived aboard for over 30 years. We spent a lovely afternoon talking about the past and the future of Flying Coney, and that changed a lot. But let's start right at the beginning. The ship was indeed built as a warship, a so-called Kriegsfischkutter, which was a large series of multi-purpose warships that were used for outpost and lookout duties, for mine laying and mine sweeping, and to hunt for submarines. She was probably built in the Netherlands in Enkhuizen for the Germans in 1941. We always knew that she was originally built as a wooden warship and rebuilt with a steel hull in 1950. However, now we know a bit more about her time as a wooden boat.
Okay folks, a few little facts about the engine room. We did know that the boat had a huge Industrie diesel engine for most of the fishing times. And we believe that this engine came from a boat that was about twice the size of Flying Coney. So for a boat of this size, this really was a massive engine with about 130 liters displacement. That's roughly 8,000 cubic inches. It was an engine that really filled this whole room. This huge engine was the reason why she seems to sit a bit low in the water on the pictures of her as a fishing vessel, because it really was a massive engine for a boat of this size. That also gave her the opportunity to be used as an offshore tugboat to tow other fishing vessels to Great Britain and to other countries and back if they had a problem, so this boat was sometimes used as a tug. We knew that the boat was about to being scrapped because there was a problem with this engine. Now we know a little bit more about that. We know that there was a problem with one of the 4 cylinders, and what you can do with these large diesel engines is you just can disconnect one cylinder and the engine still can work on the remaining cylinders, and that's what they did. But unfortunately, they forgot to take the connecting rod out of the engine, and the connecting rod hit the crankshaft, and it sent the 2-ton heavy flywheel for a round in the engine room. So this absolutely massive flywheel jumped off the engine, and we previously believed that this generator here is from a fishing times. But there was another generator, a Samofa diesel, which was sitting next to this huge flywheel, and it was afterwards flat as a can because this flywheel just rolled over this little poor engine. So basically everything here is new and from a different area. And also an interesting fact, the Industrie was replaced not by the DAF, it was replaced by a chrome-hulled 3-cylinder engine. We initially thought that the Industrie diesel engine was replaced by this DAF because we knew that she was converted into a sailing ship in 1977, and this engine is also from 1977, but the Industrie was in fact replaced by a chrome-hulled engine. This engine here was fitted in about 2008, and it came from a police boat. That means that the engine was really good maintained for most of the time, all the way up to 2012, and it's a good engine. We do like it. It really fits the boat well, and they also bought a special gearbox, so they made it work together with the propeller of the chrome-hulled engine, and this fitting was done properly, and we're still quite happy with our little DAF here. We initially thought that this generator here is still from a fishing times because this engine is from about 1957, so that would make sense. But again, flywheel and all that, so it is from a fishing time, but just not from the fishing time of this boat. But in fact, this whole genset here is a self-built one using a welding generator and a Perkins P3 engine. The previous owner used to weld a lot aboard of this ship. He had a long cable where he could reach even spots in the mast. And back in the old days, electric welding equipment was quite large and quite heavy. So that was the way how he could weld while on the journeys. I'm not too sure what that does mean for us. It does mean that this engine probably was working and was not replaced by the other generator. The other little generator was just more usable as a genset than this one. But on the other hand, it's a quite large generator for not too much power. We could, of course, replace the welding generator with a Stanford generator or something similar and build a new good working generator using an old working engine. On the other hand, we do have a perfectly working smaller generator that is perfectly up to what we need. That also means that the pump that was previously sitting here is from a fishing time and not from the fishing time of our boat. And this pump was recently restored by one of our viewers. We're still very grateful that it was restored because it's a high quality pump, it's a very strong pump, and you can't have enough pumps on a boat like this. So we really appreciate that it was restored.
A few weeks back when we cleaned up the engine room, we asked if someone could help us to restore this pump. It wasn't turning anymore, but since it is a quite strong pump, we wanted to keep it. And Dirk Jan offered to give it a refit. Since he works for a company that overhauls pumps and other technical equipment, he basically knows everything about this pump. So we are very grateful that he took the time to pick it up and repair it.
Hello people. I am Dirk Jan. I am the one who tries to fix the pump. I have owned two vessels myself, coastal-wise, and I've been all over Europe with the ships, and that's how I gained some knowledge also about the techniques. And well, I'm currently working at a company that overhauls of pump and all sorts of industrial equipment. It's a good pump because it's a multi-stage pump. That means that it is self-sucking. They also use these kinds of pump in vacuum systems, and these pumps will therefore give also a lot of pressure when you want to use it for washing down with the hose. The interior of the pump is very tight. That's why it's handy to use for emptying the bilge or for pressure washing on the deck. I already determined some things. There is a lot of rust inside build up, so that's probably what caused the freezing up of the pump. The electromotor is free. It turns very nice. I don't hear any sound coming from the bearings or anything like that, so for an old electromotor, that's a good thing. The pump is totally stuck. I want to concentrate on the pump, taking everything apart, and see what we find out. You can see it's all corroded. We'll clean it all up for you, make it nice again. I have good hopes. What is left after the lasting cleaning, and then we got the comparison of what it was and what it is now. All that's left now is put the thing together in the right order, and then it should work again. have the clutch here. Then there must be no gap in between both sides, which is okay. Same on this side. Oh, it's not easy with one hand. There you go. Here's your pump. Complete. It's a good pump, yeah. No, it's built out of cast iron and both propellers, there are two inside. These are from meshing. It was a nice job to do. It was fun getting it in parts and see that it is still in good condition. It was what I was expecting about, and only thing what was unsure for me was the electromotor. But once it was divided, the electromotor was turning. There was too much old dead water inside, which causes corrosion and dirt inside and rust build up, and it just froze. If you only use it once in a while, it goes a lifetime. As long as you don't let it sit for 10 years again. I'm happy to help out if I can, especially young people who wants to make something out of these old boats. I like the model, and it's a very nice shape. I already saw that on the shipyard in Urk. Under sails he will perform beautiful only by looking at it. I can already see that. I see a nice future for the Flying Coney, so yeah.
Dirk Jan really did a great job. He cleaned everything thoroughly, even blasted all parts and painted the pump blue. And now she is almost as good as new and will be a reliable and very strong emergency bilge pump, fire pump and deck wash pump for many more years to come. Thank you so much, Dirk Jan, for saving our pump.
One of our theories was that the boat was used for minesweeping after the Second World War, because many similar boats were, and that she was destroyed, and that was the reason why she was rebuilt with a steel hull. One of the reasons why we believe that is this little hatch here, where it says sweep gear storage room. So that were the hints we were getting, where we thought maybe it was used for minesweeping. But in fact, the doors and also the watertight bulkhead doors we have down below came from an American minesweeper that was scrapped in the Netherlands, and these parts were relatively cheap, and the previous owner thought, well, they're nice, so now we do have it. So they are from a real minesweeper, and I think that's nice. So instead of sweeping mines, this boat fished in front of the coast of Africa, still with a wooden hull, and later came back to the Netherlands and was rebuilt with a steel hull. Back when we were in the shipyard on Urk, we discovered some tiny little pinholes in this area. Today I want to show you a magic trick. How to attach a welding electrode to the hull. Can try to... does work. Like here. Doesn't work. But I can do it. Ta-da! And also the stringer here is in worse condition than it is in the rest of the forecastle. And we always wondered a bit why this area here is corroded more than the rest of the forecastle. It turns out that back in the fishing days, this boat was one of the last ships that had the crew quarters in the forecastle, and they had a coal stove, and here there was a coal bunker for the coal stove, and the coal was laying directly on the hull, and there was probably not a lot of coating, so over the time it has affected this area here a little bit. When we cut the tank into pieces, in one of the breaks I discovered this sign here on this watertight door, and it says that it was manufactured in 1953 in Brooklyn, New York by a company named Julius Mock & Sons. And that absolutely made no sense to us, because the boat was rebuilt in steel in 1950, and how American-made doors made it into a shipyard in the Netherlands was something really strange for us. So this door is actually from an American minesweeper that was made in 1953. And a lot of these minesweepers were scrapped here in the Netherlands, near Den Over, and this ship here was converted into a sailing ship in Den Over, and that was the reason why this door found its way into this ship when it was converted into a sailing ship. So this door is one of the many parts that have a warship history in this boat, and I do find this really, really nice. I'm now in the former cargo hold of this boat, and this floor here is concrete, which is pretty much normal for a fishing vessel because it gives you a flat cargo room flooring. But the ship also has a lot of concrete in other areas like the forecastle or aft next to the rudder stock, and that's a little bit unusual. And there's a story to that. Because when they ballasted the ship, they started to fill it up, and they made drawings outside of the hull to get the right amount of ballast in the ship. But while they did it, they didn't realize that the boat was actually sitting on the ground. It wasn't going down, so they filled it up and filled it up and filled it up and were wondering why it's not going down. And after they realized it, they stopped pouring concrete in, and they put something out again, but not all of it, and that's the reason why the ship is slightly heavy for a boat of this size. It's weighing about 120 tons, but that does mean that it has a good stability, which makes it a real good base for a sailing ship. We also always thought that this wheelhouse is still from the fishing days because it looked so similar on the photos, but actually they redid the whole wheelhouse when they converted her into the sailing ship. So this wheelhouse was changed many times and is not originally, unfortunately. One of the most interesting things about this ship is that it was constantly changed and altered. We always thought that it was just converted into a sailing ship and it sailed, and at one point she went into a shipyard and was altered once again into this motorsailer configuration. But instead, the previous owners just changed a little bit each and every season to match the needs they had at the time. So at the beginning they built their sailing ship to start traveling. They built it with a staysail schooner rig, and over the time they added the yards because they wanted to sail more with young people. And also at one point they sheeted over the deck because the deck was leaking. So each season there was a little bit that changed. And one of the last conversions they did was they raised the wheelhouse again and also the quarter deck to make the sailing ship more into a liveaboard configuration for the two of them. So for us that's really beautiful, because first of all we do know that the ship was used for what we want to do with the ship, and second, it was changed and altered all the time. So for us there's no problem in changing and altering it again into a sailing ship, in the sailing ship we want to have, into the sailing ship we dream of, because it's not really original. In itself the whole ship is original, but it always changed and it will always change, and that's the way how this ship will stay alive for a really long time. At the beginning we were not completely sure if this boat really was built as a wooden warship, because the bow does look different to this type of boats. It does look more like a logger if you see it on the try. But there is a reason for that, because when they converted this boat into a steel ship, and in fact it was one of the earliest boats that were converted, she still had a relatively weak Deutz engine in it with just 150 horsepower. So they used the older logger bow to make it more efficient so that they could use this older engine and still reach a good speed. That means that the water line is longer and that the boat goes through the water better. And that does mean under engine we're using less fuel, and under sails we can reach speeds that others just can't dream of. We do know that this boat once reached a speed of 14 knots under sail, which is quite a lot. For us that's great news, because it means that she will be a very fast and seaworthy sailing ship once we're done with the refit, and we probably found the best hull that one can find for a sailing ship conversion.
We are always delighted to learn something about Flying Coney's history. Especially the news about her time as a sailing ship are really exciting, because you never know how a ship sails before you sail it. So talking to her long-term owners about her sailing performance gave us the confidence that she is the perfect sailing ship. And we can't wait to see her under sails, even though that's still a long way to go. And that's all we have time for today, but we will come back to her history as a sailing ship in an upcoming video. This refit project and the sailing ship conversion and all these videos wouldn't be possible without the generous support of our lovely Patreons. So thank you so much for making this adventure possible. And also a massive thanks to each and everyone who enjoys watching our videos. Each and every view and each and every subscriber and each and every like and each and every comment really makes a huge difference. So thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.